Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the morning of Thursday, December 1st, 2022. Oh no, it's humbug season again. Oh boy. Well, sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Stand by for the rest of the story. Well, the rest of the story is an update on Paul Harvey's story he did, I think it was 1989. And it's about, I believe it was Tom and Sophie. And I'll redo some of his stories and then fill in the update for you. Okay. Tom and Sophie were in the middle of a cold November day in Bloomington, Illinois. Specifically, Evergreen Memorial Cemetery. And it was a solemn day for them because they had just lost their daughter. She lived about 5 months to the day, November 11th to June 11th, or June 11th to November 11th. And Sophie was inconsolable. Her sister, Maud, and her husband, Lyman, they came to try to console her. Her sister, Maud, got her kind of okay. So the ceremony went on. They buried her daughter. But on the way home, Maud started breaking apart herself. Her husband, Lyman, talked to Sophie and her husband that night and explained that Maud was just breaking down. You see, Sophie was elated to have a daughter. And she was looking forward to her daughter who, according to the records of the time, died of a pneumonia-based illness, although they couldn't determine what. And Maud had 4 boys already. She was older than Sophie, older sister. And she just wanted a girl which she couldn't have. And this girl was going to be it for her. So she just got worse and worse, and they put her in the hospital. Eventually, she ended up in a sanatorium. Maud did. Her husband, Lyman, he didn't know what to do. Then one night, he had an inspiration. And this is almost 2 years later. So he went back to Illinois from Chicago. He went back to Bloomington. They lived in Chicago at the time. Lyman and Maud had moved all over the place before that, trying to find something to do. He hadn't found his place in life yet. He wanted to make it big, as he said, but, well, poor Lyman. He never did. He tried everything. He was in South Dakota, all over the place, doing all kinds of jobs that you could think of. So he borrowed some money and built a memoriam to the daughter of Sophie and her husband. Tom, I believe his name was. And it was so good that the people started coming to see it. And a couple of months later, he finished his latest work. He was an aspiring author. Well, it ain't no luck at nothing yet for poor Lyman. So he sent it out to the publisher, was expecting the usual, hum, see you later, sayonara, don't call us back, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. You guys know what I mean. But this time the door didn't hit him on the way out, and he got a call. And bingo, it became a hit, big time hit. And it went into publication. They were expecting, maybe 10,000 copies. Yeah. Well, they hit 50,000. And then they wanted to do it into a Broadway show the next year. And they did. And for the next 9 years, it became a hit in Broadway. And he was making the money left and right. I mean, Lyman was getting up there. When his wife got better, he took her back to see what he did at Evergreen Memorial Cemetery. And she was elated. I mean, that kind of took her out of the doldrum she was, and she became the wife that for the next 50 plus years was at his side, even though he wasn't there. Okay? Maud was Maud, and she acted that way until her death. Lyman, on the other hand, he went up and did a lot of other sequels and stuff to the publication that he did, and they were, well, I wouldn't call them hits, but they made a lot of money. And subsequently, they're making a lot of money today. Paul Harvey told you this story around the dedication of the 50th anniversary of the movie that was made and released in 1939. And if you know about Bloomington, Illinois' Evergreen Memorial Cemetery, you understand what I mean, but a lot of you don't because you've never been to Evergreen Memorial Cemetery in Bloomington, Illinois. I was there in 1989 for the dedication of the 50th anniversary of the movie's release. The movie, of course, no, it's not Gone with the Wind. It was released the same year. No, this is the other one. The Wizard of Oz. And the guy in question, Lyman, was Lyman Frank Baum. B-A-U-M. Baum. Okay? He wrote The Wizard of Oz in 1900. And his character was Dorothy Gale, who was played by Judy Garland, who never liked, and she would tell you until she died in 1962 that playing Dorothy was not one of her favorite things because it kind of scared her a little bit, and I can understand why. Because Dorothy was more than a character. It was like the soul of Dorothy came alive. And the niece of Lyman Frank Baum's wife, Maud, her name was Dorothy Gage. So Dorothy Gage, Lionel, when he wrote The Wizard of Oz, made her into Dorothy Gale. What he would think she would be at her age back in 1939 for the character. And Judy Garland just fit the part. Whether she was the first cast or not, I don't know if they got it in writing that they say would happen, but she wasn't a happy camper doing the movie, but she did a good job on the movie. And some of that, she says that she doesn't know how she did it. Sometimes she would say that she was, and she didn't come out and say it, but she would insinuate that she was possessed. Probably by the spirit of Dorothy Gage, maybe. But anyway, The movie was a hit in 1939. It's still a hit today. You'll see it this month in December because they play it in December, along with the other movies. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, and The Sound of Music. You'll see all those. Oh, and yeah, they just showed Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And Mr. Harvey, you passed away in 2009. And for Mr. Dyson, who's my co-partner trying to keep Paul Harvey's stories alive, there's a second half of this story and a third half. The second half is when they were doing the movie and Mr. Harvey did this story as a separate one. I'm including them both here. All three of them are going to be here. Was about a coat. The guy that they picked to play the wizard actually played two other parts. Yet you only see his name on the credits just below Judy Garland's, Fred Baker. He was a hum guy. Not a very known actor. He died 10 years later. But the studio was ordered to get a coat for him that fit the part. So they went rummaging through different Goodwill stores at the time, 1939, and they found this raggedy coat, which Fred Baker did when he played the part of, I forget what his name was because I'm not familiar with the movie too much, but he also played the wizard, okay? He played the Wizard of Oz. But when he was wearing the coat, he played another character. So those of you who know the 1939 movie know it better than I do. Well, when the movie was said and done, Fred Baker was getting out of the costume and he noticed, hey, there's something back here. There's a Chicago thing here, a laundry thing, or some a Chicago tailor. So the movie guys decided, hey, we gotta. Somebody decided to research it, so they went back to Chicago, found the tailor. He looked up the information. He said, we sold this a long time ago, back in the last century. Whew. Can you imagine back in the last century, huh? Yeah. Well, they did. They sold it towards the end of the 19th century, around 1899, I believe it was. And they found the guy's name in there. And were they surprised when they saw the guy's name? L. Frank Baum. The L stands for Lyman. The original Wizard of Oz, the author of the book Wizard of Oz, that was his coat. So they went to authenticate it and found his widow, Maud, still living in 1939. She lived to be 90-something and passed away in 1853. I think she was 93 years old, or 1953, pardon me, when she passed away. But in 1939, she authenticated that that was her husband's Frank's coat. So you see, it would circle the Wizard of Oz was actually there, personally, at the movie. Kind of strange, huh? Just like probably Dorothy Gage was there personally at the movie with Dorothy Gale. String things that you can understand, and some of you would say, oh, humbug, or others would say, hui, yeah. But you can't dismiss it. And the third part of this story, I went with my wife to that dedication in 1989 at Evergreen Memorial Cemetery in Bloomington, Illinois. And by the way, Dorothy Gage lived from November, like I said, June 11th to November 11th, 1898, okay? Wizard of Oz was published in 1900. And the movie was done in 1939. And in 1989, they did a dedication. They did another one. The dedication wasn't too big. But the one they did in 1997, now that was a big time. I missed that one. I just talked to the cemetery yesterday, and this one lady was kind enough to show me the letter that was sent out and the things they did. Oh, wow. And the people are still going there. And the story doesn't end there. Too bad Mr. Paul Harvey died in 2009. Mr. Dyson, Brad Dyson, is another guy that tries to keep Paul Harvey going here. But in 2018, so they told me yesterday when I was updating the story with the cemetery, the city of Bloomington, I guess, told the cemetery that that tree that was sitting next door to Dorothy's grave had to come down. Now, that was a nice tree when I was there in 1989. I said, oh, so they took everything but the stump. She said, no. They fought with the city, and the city left the stump there. And if you go there today, you'll see a carved portrait of Dorothy Gale and Toto in that stump. The stump, they carved it into Dorothy Gale's figure and Toto's figure. And boy, if I could send that to you guys right now, but look it up. Call up the cemetery. That's Evergreen Memorial Cemetery in Bloomington, Illinois, and they can send you pictures. And that is the best thing I've seen in a long time. Gone with the Wind has a lot of people going there to see this at Evergreen Memorial. They say that, I asked them if the people are still going, and they said in droves. It outlasts generations, people. And it's the one thing that I'm glad that Mr. Paul Harvey did those two stories, and I'm doing the third story here about the tree that they dumped down, wanted to eliminate, and created the carved out statue of Dorothy Gale and Toto. Sitting in for Paul Harvey, this is your favorite alien. And now, you know how the rest of the story goes. Good day.